One community which is ignored by people or which is not respected much is the class of brokers, and the amount of value that they can bring to you is actually greater than what fund managers can bring to you in a country which does not have good quality data. For example, in India, there is no way how you can find out who is a DIY and who is being advised by somebody. For example, my let's say my driver or my servant is a DIY, yes, because they may be investing direct, but they may be asking me for advice. Same thing is true for many journalists. Their servants and their brothers, sisters could be seeking their advice, which means strictly speaking they are DIY because they go direct, but they are actually being advised by somebody. So I was talking to a friend, and he's a very good broker. He must be having about 45 years of experience. So I asked him some of the questions which you would ask a fund manager, and I asked him, what are the biggest learnings that you have? So he said, over so many years, one thing that I have seen is the huge psychological swings by people. In a good market, they are very bullish and they want to buy more, they want to take more risk. Like this market today, there is nobody who wants to sell. Everybody wants to buy. So end of every conversation, and the conversation would have started by saying, oh, the Fed is printing so much money, etc., etc., etc. It is worrisome. But the conversation always ends with क्या लगता है, क्या लेने का है? And I keep looking at them and saying, from whatever you said, you should be asking me, what should I be selling? मैं क्या बेचूं? That should be your question. But you're asking me, what should I be buying? So to me, this doesn't make sense. So he said the same thing. I was very happy. Maybe it's some kind of a confirmation bias. And he said, yes, the job of a financial advisor or a friend who is to whom you go while making investments is to make sure that during a bull market or at the peak of a bull market, he restrains you from putting too much money into it. And in the bear market, he makes sure and tells you, don't worry, the market will recover, or that kind of a language, saying you should keep investing because one day when the market will turn. Now, given Indian conditions, now I'm not talking of world markets, certain industries could be booming. So look at it this way, even the 2003, 2002 to end to 2003 to 2007 boom was not uniform. FMCG and pharma, etc. just didn't participate. It was more an infrastructure boom, some of the banking stocks boomed, the tech stocks boomed, right? But yes, there were islands which just didn't move. Now similarly, now you can see that yes, metals have moved up, IT is up because we're hoping for a revival in the US, it's already happening. Pharma could be up, hospitals are zooming given the occupancy that most hospitals have. There are just a couple of three, four companies which are listed. You can see all that and you realize that, okay, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, if the COVID thing goes away, will hospitals be able to produce such results, right? Those are sensible questions to ask, which most of us don't ask. So this was a very good insight I got, and typically you'd get a Naren or Prashant Jain to talk in similar way, but this guy is unheard of, right? And this is right. It sounds very basic, but when the market is up and everybody wants to be investing, look at the IPOs. Any IPO goes for a 6, right? Your InvITs go for a 6. What are you expecting? Do you expect listing gains on an InvIT? Something is wrong with you, right? But that issue gets oversubscribed 6 times, 7 times, and you have very good shares available at a yield of 5% in the market. A group listed 5% dividend yield, and that gets ignored. Very good proof that India is an IPO crazy market. So anybody comes out with an IPO for anything, even for a debt instrument like InvIT, there is a craze and it gets oversubscribed 6 times, 7 times, right? So making sure that the client does not get euphoric in a bull market or get overly pessimistic in the bear market is the job of an advisor. It is the job of the media. It is the job of channels like us to keep saying, if you have adequate money, just stop playing the game. You don't need it. If you are 70 years of age, you have 8 crores or 10 crores and your requirements are 5 lakhs per year, you have enough for the rest of your 3 generations. Why do you need to play the game, right? So coming out in a bull market at the top is impossible, but if this is going to be the top, coming out at this stage and this stage is a very sensible thing to do. I'm not even getting into whether we are in the bull market, whether the market is going to crash, but look at your goals. For your goals, if you have adequate money and you're excessively overweight on equity, which you do not need, then be careful. Why do you want to be taking risk? Why would you risk what you have to try to earn something which you do not need, right? So this is one good learning for me. Not that it is a new learning, but I think re-emphasizing this of we are in a bull market is definitely high. I do not think you will go back in 2026 and 2027, you will not go back and say, oh my god, I missed the valuations of 2021. We are not there. Yes, market can go higher, yes, the market can go lower. That does not matter. Whatever the market has to do, market will do. You have to do what you have to do. That is far more important. Don't be overly enthusiastic and put all your money in equity, nor be overly pessimistic and say, oh, markets have to be crashing, so we have to remove everything. That is not required. Play it by the year. See what are your goals. If you have longer term goals like 10 years plus, you should be in equity. If you have 2-year kind of goals, 3-year kind of goals, I suggest that you come out of equity and stay in bank deposits. Thank you.